Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya.
Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya.
Vivekananda Suraye.
Vivekananda Suraye.
Satchit Sukha Swarupaya.
Satchit Sukha Swarupaya.
Swamine Tapaharine.
Swamine Tapaharine.
Towards the end of November 1881 or the beginning of December 1881, it is not very clearly known, Naren came to Dakshineshwar for the first time with his companions. Sri Ramakrishna distinctly remembers what happened that day. He says, they came by the door leading to the river Ganga, entered the room was full of people. His friends who already were aware of Sri Ramakrishna, who were well known to Ramakrishna, came and sat close to Ramakrishna. Naren felt a little shy. He sat a little away. Thakur looked at him, smiled at him, didn't talk anything to him, didn't say anything to him. I hope all of you remember the purpose for which Naren came to meet Sri Ramakrishna.
Yes,
To ask him, should I get married or not? He went on observing what was happening. People are asking questions and Sri Ramakrishna was giving them answers. He was amazed at the wisdom in the answers of Sri Ramakrishna. The answers came straight from the heart and not from the head. Sri Ramakrishna talked as if he has already experienced all these things. After 10 or 15 minutes, Sri Ramakrishna beckoned to Naren with a finger. Get up. Naren got up. Thakur also got up, came to him, caught hold of his hand, brought him outside onto the porch. This porch. He brought him outside there and then told Naren, why did you make me wait so long, my dear boy? I have been waiting for you for such a long time. Naren was surprised. It is just a couple of weeks ago that I met him in Surendranath Mitra's house. Then why should Thakur say I have made him wait for such a long time? But Naren was not aware of the esoteric, deep psychic answer or the question. On the day, at the time when Naren was born, Sri Ramakrishna was standing on top of the terrace, looking towards Kolkata, and he saw a shooting star descend from the heavens and fall on Kolkata. That day he told many of the people in the temple, a great personality has taken his birth in Kolkata. He is destined to come to me one day. He is destined to come to me one day. People forgot about it. Ramakrishna did not forget. Now, seeing Naren in Surendra's house, he recognized him instantly. That is why he asked him, or he made that statement. Why did you delay so long? Why did you make me wait so long? Then he did something which Naren simply could not understand. Sri Ramakrishna folded his hands and told Naren, O Lord Nara, incarnation of Lord Narayana, you are born on this earth for the welfare of humanity. Naren says, I couldn't understand what the old man is talking about. Sounded rubbish. I am Lord Nara, incarnation of Lord Narayana. I hope you know who Nara and Narayana were. There are two sages who live in the Himalayas, and whenever there is some problem in India, they come down to help people. And at the time of the Mahabharata, they came down as Arjuna and Shri Krishna. Nara came as Arjuna. Narayana came as Shri Krishna. You know, every chapter of the Mahabharata, every canto commences with a prayer to Nara Narayana. Saluting Nara and Narayana, Saraswati and Vyasa, Mahabharata has got to be read. This is the prayer. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Jaya is the ancient name for Mahabharata. Narendra knew about it. So he thought this must be the statement of a mad person. He said, what is this? The man is behaving like mad. Then Thakur told him, just wait, I'll be back. He went inside, brought some sweets, wanted to thrust them into the mouth of Naren. Naren protested. I have my friends inside, I'll have the sweets along with them. Oh no, they will have in their own sweet time. But you see, I want to feed you with my own hands. He thrust the sweets into the mouth of Naren, then again caught hold of his hand, brought him back to his room. Naren sat at the proper place. And after a few minutes, Thakur looked at him and asked him, why don't you sing that song which you sang the other day? So Naren sang that song, Monocholo Nija Niketoni. Everybody was thrilled. Thakur went into half unconscious state, Ardha Bahya Avastha. Samadhi, Savikalpa, Samadhi. Then Naren went on observing the questions being asked by people and the answers given by Sri Ramakrishna. Then it occurred to him, I have to find out who this person is. What is the best way? Ask him the question which I have asked so many great people. I told you yesterday, he was in the habit of going around asking important people, sir, have you seen God? Nobody had answered satisfactorily. So he asked the question of Sri Ramakrishna, Moshe, have you seen God? And quickly came the answer, yes, my dear boy, I have seen God. I am seeing God right now. I am seeing God much more clearly than I am seeing you. But who wants God? People shed bucketfuls of tears for their family, for wealth, for fame. Is there anyone who is prepared to shed even a single tear for God? Yes, my dear boy, I have seen God. Naren was stunned. His mind was in a turmoil. He couldn't make out who this man was. Is he a saint who claims he has seen God? Is he a wise person who can answer questions like that? Or is he a madcap, an insane personality who calls me Lord Nara? He couldn't make up his mind. At the end of the day, he told Thakur, I have to go back home. Thakur told him, Abar Esho, come again. Naren had absolutely no intention of coming back. I also told you yesterday that the university exams used to be held in January and February, and examinations were coming closer. So Naren decided to go to his grandmother's residence and to study for the exams, undisturbed. 3 weeks later, I've shown you the picture of that room, the staircase and all that. 3 weeks later, one afternoon, he was sitting at a desk in that room studying when he felt some unseen power pull him up from his seat. Unwillingly, he got up from the seat. The force pulled him towards the door. He came to the door, started climbing down the steps, came to the street and started walking towards Dakshineshwar. He didn't know the way. First time he had gone with his friends in a horse carriage. Now he had to walk. He had to inquire of people. So by the time he came to Dakshineshwar, it was already 5 or 5:30 in the evening. He came straight to Thakur's room. There was nobody in Thakur's room. He was sitting all alone. Naren again entered by the door, Thakur welcomed him, told him to come and sit by his side. Naren said, "No, I will sit on the floor." He sat at the feet of Thakur. Thakur went on asking him about the family. Then he himself got down, sat next to Naren. He went on talking to Naren. He appeared to be absolutely normal. No sign of insanity. Absolutely normal. Naren was rather reassured. This time the old man is not going to play any tricks. But just then he saw a look in the eyes of Sri Ramakrishna which he could not understand. Indrawn. He says, like the look in the eyes of a hen which is sitting over an egg trying to hatch it, total indrawn concentration. Before Naren could understand what was happening, Sri Ramakrishna raised his right foot, placed it on the right knee of Naren, and Naren's head started reeling. The roof started moving about him. The walls started revolving around him. He got scared. He shouted, "What are you going to do to me? Are you going to kill me? I have my parents at home, brothers and sisters at home. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me." Sri Ramakrishna touched him on the chest and said, "All in good time. All in good time." Slowly Naren came back to normal. Now what should Naren think of Sri Ramakrishna? A mesmerizer? A hypnotist? People by then started coming in. They started asking questions. Sri Ramakrishna started replying. Very wise answers from the mouth of a sage. At the end of that second visit, Naren was even more confused. What is Sri Ramakrishna then? He went back home. His mind was in a turmoil. He couldn't get sleep in the night properly. 1 week later, without any force pulling him up, voluntarily he came to Dakshineshwar. This time he wanted to talk to Sri Ramakrishna and get it clarified once and for all who Sri Ramakrishna is. How could he ask a person like this a question about his future and the marriage and all that? So the question could not be asked. When he came that day, the third meeting, the scene of the first meeting repeated itself. Lots of people. Naren sat near the door, and after some time, Thakur beckoned to him, asked him to get up. Came to him, caught hold of his hand, and took him out, not by that door, but by the door opposite, which leads to the external corridor. This corridor. So the two of them came out into the corridor, climbed down the steps, and started walking towards the north. And then they passed through large number of plantations and trees until they came to this building. The house of a very rich Kolkata merchant, Jadu Malik. Jadu Malik was a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. His wife and mother were equal devotees. But the ladies, in those days, ladies rarely used to walk about in the public because of modesty. And they belonged to a rich family. The ladies found it difficult to come from Kolkata to Dakshineshwar. So for their benefit, he built a big house. He also used to stay there occasionally. There were lots of servants. He gave them instruction, whether we are living here or not, if Thakur comes to our house, keep the doors open. Give him whatever he wants, anything to drink, anything to eat. Treat him as a member of the family. So Naren and Thakur came to the porch of this house. The servants greeted them, took them into the parlor. There was a long bench in the parlor. Thakur sat on the bench and told Naren, "Come and sit." Naren sat by Thakur's side. This time Naren was ultra cautious. He didn't want to be overtaken by the willpower of Sri Ramakrishna. He prided himself that he has got such an enormous willpower, how could that be overcome by another individual? But after a few minutes, once again he saw the same look in the eyes of Sri Ramakrishna. Inward concentration. Now Naren was on the guard. He saw Sri Ramakrishna come closer to him. Naren went back. Thakur came closer. Naren went back. Naren says, there was a comedy. He trying to come towards me and I moving away from him. How far could Naren move away from Thakur? The bench had an edge. He would have fallen off. So he had to stop, and then Sri Ramakrishna put the palm of his right hand on the chest of Naren, stroked it up. Naren lost all consciousness. Completely lost all consciousness. How long he remained in that state, he doesn't remember. When he came back to normalcy, he saw Sri Ramakrishna smiling, stroking his chest downwards. My dear boy, I know who you are, but you don't know who you are. I asked you lots of questions. You answered them faithfully. I had a rough idea as to who you were, but now it is all confirmed. I know who you are. You don't know who you are. But the day you come to know who you are, you will not remain on this earth any longer. You will fly away like a free bird. He made that prophecy. Sri Ramakrishna told this prophecy to a few other disciples also. So it became a standard joke in the Ramakrishna order occasionally for sannyasis or brahmacharis to ask Swami Vivekananda, Swamiji, do you know who you are? And Swamiji always used to pass it off like a joke, laughing. Couple of weeks before his Mahasamadhi, when they were all having dinner in Bengaluru, a brahmachari asked him, jokingly, Swamiji, do you know who you are? Swamiji replied in a grave voice, yes, I know who I am. There was a hushed silence. Swami Brahmananda came running, the president of the Ramakrishna order. He caught hold of Naren's hands and said, Naren, don't tell us that. Say you don't know who you are. No, Raja, Swamiji said, I know who I am. From that day, every time Naren Swamiji used to go for a walk in the Bengaluru grounds with somebody or other, he would point to a particular spot and say, when I am gone, cremate me there. When I am gone, cremate me there. When we come to the last talk, I will tell you what are the events which happened in the last couple of weeks of the life of Swami Vivekananda. Then you will understand what great people these are. Somebody asked me a question once. It was in Kuala Lumpur. A Malaysian gentleman. I was giving a parlor talk in somebody's house. He asked me a very simple question. There is one person in South India, in Puttaparthi, everybody considers him an avatara. Do you believe in that? I said, sorry, it's a controversial subject, I don't believe. But you see, there is one thing, if you want to know whether a person is an avatara, you can't decide immediately. You have to wait till his last breath. How the person sheds the body. How he leaves the body and leaves the world. If he leaves the body as if it is a worn out cloth, throwing it away, then he is a great sage. But if he goes on clinging to the body, then he certainly cannot be considered to be a sage. You are going to see how exactly Sri Ramakrishna left his body. Swamiji also left the body in the same way. Sharda Devi also did the same thing. This was the experience of Naren on that day. That experience made him the lifelong servant of Sri Ramakrishna. He used to say many times, I am the servant of Sri Ramakrishna. The training of Naren started from that day onwards. Sri Ramakrishna was so happy that Naren had accepted him as a guru. What was the training given to Naren? Sri Ramakrishna had practiced all the 64 Tantra practices. Terrible, each one of them. Not easy. Tantric practices. He had got the Ashtasiddhi. Have you heard of the Ashtasiddhis? Compulsory subject for all our students in Prashanti, Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Anima, Mahima, Laghima, Garima, Prapti, Prakamya, Ishitva, Vashitva. Anima, becoming smaller than an atom. Mahima, becoming as large as the universe. Laghima, becoming extremely light like cotton. Garima, extremely heavy, heavier than lead. Prapti, sitting at one spot, he can reach out and get whatever he wants. Materialization. Prakamya, no obstacles in the movement. If you are a yogi with the capacity of Prakamya, after the class, you don't have to walk all the way to Sadapurna. You disappear here, you reappear there. There is Prakamya. Ishitva, lordship over everyone, leadership qualities. Vashitva, attracting everybody. These are the 8 siddhis. Sri Ramakrishna had them. He knew the language of birds and animals. You name the power, he had it. But that is not what he taught his disciple. He taught his disciple the basic practices of pranayama. Please remember that. Swami Vivekananda's initial training, Narendra's initial training with Sri Ramakrishna was in the field of pranayama. He was an expert in pranayama. In New York, he gave classes, practical classes on pranayama to Americans. And what the power of the prana is. In his lectures also, he explains the powers of the prana. And most important of all, Sri Ramakrishna polished the method of meditation adopted by Naren. I told you, Naren, right from birth, was a very great meditator. So what was there to teach him? Not teaching him, polishing his teaching. Sri Ramakrishna used to send Naren outside his room to a nearby place known as Panchavati. Panchavati means 5 trees. When Sri Ramakrishna had got to Vrindavan, he brought the saplings of these 5 trees, got them planted there, and in no time they grew up into a lush foliage. There was a platform inside on which Sri Ramakrishna used to sit to meditate. That is where he started sending all his disciples for practice. So Naren also had to go there for practicing meditation. Naren had the habit of sitting for meditation, removing the upper garment. He was wearing only a dhoti. And he used to sit in that place in such a way that his back was to the outside. There were many passers-by. He didn't want to be disturbed, so that he would be looking inside. And unfortunately, for all the people who went there for meditation, they faced one big problem. Even today, Dakshineshwar is infested by mosquitoes. Plenty of mosquitoes. Now you can imagine what happens to people who want to meditate there. Their meditation turns out to be a Bharatanatyam. Okay? One afternoon, Thakur had sent Naren to Panchavati for meditation. After half an hour, Thakur remembered something. He called another person, disciple, and told him, Girish Chandra Ghosh, a great dramatist, Girish, I want to ask Naren something. Why don't you go and fetch him? Girish came there. From a distance, he saw Naren sitting there with the back to the outside. Naren's body was golden in color, very fair in color. So what should the back look like? Fair in color, golden. But the back looked black. Girish was surprised. He thought it is a play of light and shade. You know, light and shade can create lots of disturbances. Things which are dark can appear bright, things which are bright can appear dark. But when he went to close, he saw that the back of Naren was black, jet black, a carpet covered with lots of mosquitoes. How many mosquitoes are enough to keep you awake in the night? Huh? One mosquito. And here, whole back was covered and Naren was lost to the world. Girish woke him up, brought him back to Sri Ramakrishna, told Thakur what he had seen. Thakur said, I told you already that he is a person born with the capacity for meditation. Dhyana Siddha. This is the way the training started. It does not necessarily mean that Naren accepted everything Sri Ramakrishna used to say. He would ask questions. He would dispute them. He was a scientist at heart. He wanted proof. He wanted demonstration. He would always raise objections. And Sri Ramakrishna loved it. He said, unless you ask questions and get answers, that will never enter your head. Right? So learn the art and technique of asking questions. If you want to ask any question, then what is required? First thing is you should be able to listen carefully. Second, you should be able to think about it. Only then it will occur to you to ask questions. Right? We Indians are very deficient in that. Not only that, we are very shy. We wait for somebody else to ask a question and then we can go on adding to that. Isn't that a fact? If I give a talk and say any questions, everybody looks at everybody else. Until somebody becomes bold and asks a question. Then everybody becomes bold and starts asking a question. Naren was not like that. Thakur need not ask him any questions. He would straight away shoot off the questions. Once or twice he told Thakur to his face, you are wrong. What you are saying is not all right. I'll give you one instance. Thakur was one day explaining to all the young people the concept of Advaita, non-dual philosophy, according to which the whole universe is Brahman. There is nothing else in the universe. Naren started laughing. What? The whole universe is Brahman? Nonsense. You mean to say this water pot is Brahman? This cot is Brahman? The walls are Brahman? The roof is Brahman? I am Brahman? No. Nonsense. Thakur was not a 20th century or 21st century teacher to get angry with such behavior. Thakur simply went on smiling. Why? One day you will accept it, my dear boy. Now you can raise any objection you want. And then Naren got out of the room, came to the corridor. There was one character, Pratap Chand Hazra, who had come from a village nearby Sri Ramakrishna's village, absolutely good for nothing fellow, but dressing himself as a great sage and telling everybody, why do you go and meet Ramakrishna? What does he know? He is an idiot. Come to me, I will tell you. And he and Naren were very great friends. So Naren came to him, not in the class, you can do it outside. So Naren came to him And Hajara asked him, "Hey Naren, what is the matter? You seem to be upset." "Yes, Pratapji, look at Ramakrishna. He says everything is Brahman." Pratap Chandra Hazra told him, "Naren, I told you not to go to that idiot. He doesn't know anything. Sit down, I will explain to you everything. Then you will understand everything." So they were talking when Sri Ramakrishna came out of the room, looked at them smilingly and asked, "I see, some great discussion is going on. What is it about?" Naren told Thakur, "You won't understand." Because you don't know how to read and write. You won't understand. "Oh, I see, I will not understand." Then Pratap Chandra Hajra told Sri Ramakrishna, "You told him everything is Brahman. Now we are discussing why it is nonsense." Sri Ramakrishna said, very good, carry on, carry on." He came to Naren, touched him on the chest once and went away. Naren didn't feel anything, no reeling of the head, nothing. But that evening, when he decided to go back home, something funny happened to him. Everything in front of him appeared hazy, as if there is a big fog. He came to the street to walk home, everything was foggy. He was about to be run over by a horse carriage and somebody pulled him away. Somehow he reached home. He went and sat for dinner. The food was served on the plate. The plate appeared hazy. The food appeared hazy. The hand holding the food appeared hazy. He tried to put it in the mouth. The hand went in all kinds of directions. He couldn't eat it all. This stage lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. The mother got scared. Something has happened to the boy, but otherwise he appeared to be healthy. On the 4th morning, things came back slowly to normal. Immediately he rushed to the Kaneshwar, fell at the feet of Thakur and said, "Thakur, you are right. You are right. You gave me that experience. Now I accept that the whole universe is nothing but Brahman." This is the way Sri Ramakrishna taught him, by practical examples rather than by textbook theory. What is this stroking the chest and then touching the chest? What is it all about? Anybody here from Maharashtra? You are from Maharashtra? Okay. Have you heard of Varkari Sampradaya? What is Varkari Sampradaya? Who started it? Matsyendranath. And incidentally, Matsyendranath is the founder of Hatha Yoga also. And one of the greatest exponents of Varkari Sampradaya has been Sant Jnaneshwar. You must have heard of Jnaneshwar, otherwise you are not a Maharashtrian. It is like a Kannadiga not having heard of Purandaradasa. Jnaneshwar, who has written that famous commentary on the Gita, Jnaneshwari. In the Jnaneshwari, in the 6th chapter, there is a description of this. You will find that towards the end of the book, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, by the name Shakti Chalanam. How the Guru, by a mere touch or by a mere look, is in a position to arouse the Kundalini of the disciple. And Swatmarama gives details of your experiences. As the Kundalini starts going higher and higher and higher, you hear various sounds. When it comes to Anahata Chakra, you hear Omkara. When the Kundalini comes to Ajna Chakra, you hear the sound of flute. That is Sri Krishna's flute. Listening to Sri Krishna's flute, the Gopas and the Gopis of Vrindavana had their Kundalini aroused, and the Kundalini would come and stay in Ajna Chakra. These are very esoteric things, part of Hatha Yoga. And what do Maharashtrians call it? Shaktipat. You must have heard of Ganesh Puri? No? Oh, you better brush up on all these things. Ganesh Puri is a very famous center in Maharashtra, where there once lived a sannyasi, Swami Nityananda, a practitioner of Varkari. His disciple was Swami Chidananda, and Chidananda's disciple Chidvilasananda, a lady. She is running that ashram now. They specialize in this, arousing the Kundalini temporarily. Do you attend the Maitri Milan in the morning?
Yes.
Do you recite the Gita shlokas?
Yes.
Huh? Divyam dadami te chakshuhu pashyame yogamaishwaram. Do you remember that passage? Shri Krishna telling Arjuna, you want to see my divine form, cosmic form? You can't with these bare eyes. I will give you divine eyes. What is a divine eye? Third eye of Shiva. When does it open? When the Kundalini reaches Ajna Chakra, the third eye opens. Intuition, knowledge by intuition. Patanjali describes all this in very great detail in Yoga Sutras. You join our MSc, we will teach you all these things. It's compulsory anyway. No BSc or MSc student can leave the portals of this institute unless he or she has studied these subjects. Every Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning, upstairs, I conduct a class for MScs on Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Right now, I am talking to them about these concepts. This is known as Shakti Path. What Sri Ramakrishna did to Narendra was exactly what Sri Krishna did to Arjuna, arousing the consciousness. Please remember that. It is nothing esoteric, it is nothing otherworldly, it is described in our scriptures. One day, Sri Ramakrishna was talking to his disciples in the room when somebody asked him a question. Thakur, what is the basic philosophy of Ramanujacharya, the founder of the second system of philosophy? What is that? Vishishtadvaita, qualified non-dualism. Sri Ramakrishna said, every believer in God is called a Vaishnava. He believes in Vishnu. There is a code of conduct. If you believe in Vishnu, you should help all the other believers in Vishnu. Went on talking like this. Suddenly stopped and exclaimed, what is this help? How dare you claim that you are helping others? Who gave you the authority? Only He can help others. What is it you can do? Serve others. And he coined a phrase which has become very famous in the Ramakrishna mission circles. Shiva Jnaner Jiver Seva. Serve humanity by seeing in human beings the divine Shiva. Shri Swami Vivekananda used to say, be thankful to the beggar. Why? Because he is there, you serve him and earn a good name, earn good deed, punya. Isn't it? So be thankful to him that he is there. Shiva Jnane Jiver Seva. Everybody listened to that. At the end of the day, people came out. Naren stopped a few of his friends and told them, today our Guru has given us a great message. One day I am going to broadcast this message all over the world. You read his lectures on Karma Yoga, you will find this concept being explained there. What is the duty of a human being? To serve others. Help others means, I am above you, you are below me, I help you. Serve others means, you are above, I am below, so it brings in a sense of humility. One day, Thakur was talking to Naren and he made a comment. Naren, There are a large number of poor people in this world who are poor in spite of themselves. One should have a little bit of compassion for them. Naren protested. Please remember this statement. You are going to hear it again later. Naren protested. If people are poor, it is because they are lazy. Why should anybody be poor if he is active and if he is in a position to earn money? Because people are lazy, they are poor. Thakur said, no, Naren. People can become poor in spite of themselves. One should always have a little bit of sympathy. Naren did not agree. Why? Naren was born with the proverbial silver spoon in his mouth. He had never seen difficulty. He had never seen poverty. He had no compassion. So Sri Ramakrishna straight away made a beeline to the temple. Ma, please open the eyes of Naren. Show him that he must have sympathy for poor people. Not only sympathy, there is a more powerful word. I don't know whether you are aware of that. Empathy. What is the difference between sympathy and empathy?
Sympathy is looking down and empathy
Sympathy is
looking down.
saying, poor thing, poor thing. What is empathy?
Feeling of concern.
Imagining yourself in that situation and how you would behave. Right? If you imagine yourself to be in that situation, then you will have a better appreciation of the suffering. Then it is possible for you to assist them. You must have heard that in Christianity, quite a good number of people down the ages have developed wounds in the palms. Have you heard of that? Stigmata. How does it happen? They have undergone mentally the same kind of experience as Jesus the Christ had. If you see a movie where you find a nail being driven into the palm of Jesus, can you feel the pain? You don't feel the pain. There are some people very sensitive, they feel the pain, and after some time, blood starts oozing out from that place. Control of the body by the mind. That is empathy. Empathy is more difficult to have than sympathy. But sympathy is good enough for us. If you have empathy, well and good. Who are the people who require empathy in their profession?
Doctors.
Medical doctors. Not all doctors. I am also a doctor. But I am a doctor of philosophy. It doesn't apply to me. Doctor of medicine who treat patients, they must have empathy. If they don't have empathy, there will be no sympathy for them. That is what Sri Ramakrishna wanted Naren to develop. So he requested the Divine Mother, please open his eyes. One day, the Divine Mother opened the eyes of Naren to misery, to poverty, and to suffering. How did she do that? She did it very drastically. Not in a simple manner, very drastically. Which changed the life of Naren completely. Another turning point in the life of Naren. Naren spent his entire life in critical points like this, learning lessons. It is that lesson which made him write in a letter later to one of his American disciples, may I be born again and again to serve my God the poor, my God the destitute. Somebody else said the same thing. Some other great personalities said the same thing. Who was that?
Buddha.
I don't mind being born again and again so long as there is a single human being who has not attained Nirvana. Buddha. Buddha said it. Buddha was an incarnation of compassion. And that is what Swami Vivekananda later became. How did he become that? This experience. We will see tomorrow. It is too sacred a topic for me to rush through. I will explain to you fair detail tomorrow what was that incident which happened in the life of Naren, which made him go through a miserable period of his life, but which made Sri Ramakrishna extremely happy. Because now Naren's personality was a rounded personality. Okay? So we close with the prayer. Harihi Om Tat Sat.
Harihi Om Tat Sat.
Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.